Hello, I'm Julie.
I'm Helen.
I'm from Millerside Therapy and Coaching.
I'm from Helen Barnett Media.
And we're here today to tell you about an amazing offer that the two of us are going to put together. Would you like to explain a little bit more?
Oh, a little bit. Okay, so we're putting an event on called the Content Accelerator. And essentially what that is going to be is you're going to get a content strategy guided by me. That's what I do. But you're also going to get the mindset blockers. You're going to work out what they are that's holding you back, and Julie will help you sort of remove the blockers so that you are not going to be procrastinating, you're not going to feel overwhelmed, you're going to get rid of any imposter syndrome that you might have that's stopping you from putting yourself out there. So yeah, you leave the day with a strategy that you've created so that you know exactly how to talk to your ideal customers, but you also have the confidence to put it into action.
Amazing. So just for transparency, Helen and I met at multiple networking events, didn't we? And over time, we just built up a relationship. And one day I just said to Helen, do you know what? I just think we should do something together, because although we do different things, our skills really are entwined, because Helen's all about helping you to physically create your strategy, whereas I'm here to really work with your subconscious mind and help you overcome the blocks that are stopping you from becoming visible. Now, that might be procrastination, that might be self-sabotage, that might be money mindset, it could be anything. I mean, obviously we can't cover all of this, but we're actually putting on a whole day event for you on June the 6th, aren't we?
Yes, and it's actually quite interesting because, yeah, you would think this, you wouldn't necessarily put mindset and stress with content and marketing, but what I found from doing my work over the years is that it gets to a point where we've got a strategy in place, but you keep hearing the same thing of, oh, I just don't feel like I can say that, or does anyone really care what I've got to say? And you sort of I have been ending up sort of building up the confidence of my clients. So they do go hand in hand.
They do, very much so. And as business owners ourselves, we've been through all of this and still do sometimes. I mean, I personally spent 35 years in the corporate world. So a few years ago, I completely 360'd my whole career. So not only am I doing something completely different, I've completely retrained myself, but I've also had to learn how to build a business, how to get involved in social media. I had none of it before. I had Facebook for holiday snaps and LinkedIn to get a job. And now, you name it, I've got them.
Yeah, that's the thing though with when you're running a business, is you want to just concentrate on doing the thing, but you've got to also know how to market yourself. And I think it's really easy to compare yourself to everyone you're seeing online, thinking, oh, look what they're doing, I'm not nowhere near doing that. And it's not that they're better at doing what they do, it's just they're better at marketing themselves. So I don't think it's fair that people who have got really good, like, purpose-driven businesses, or they've just got a really good idea and they're really genuine people, that they should be sort of held back from selling because they just haven't marketed themselves. So it feels unfair.
It is unfair, and you don't want to be the best kept secret, do you? And that's the thing. And I think you'll hopefully agree with what I'm going to say now. We don't know she doesn't know what I'm going to say, but I hope she's going to agree with it. But what I found when I've gone to a lot of these networking events, most of the time, not always, but probably a good 80-90% of the people there are people like ourselves who have been in other careers and have now transitioned into building a business. And they've got great ideas, that it might be them following their purpose and passion, which is exactly the same for us, but they just don't know how to put themselves out. And I definitely was like that, and I definitely had stress and overwhelm over it. And I think the way my brain's wired, I just have so many shiny things and then I get distracted. And it's about having some clarity, having some focus, and also having some accountability, isn't it? To knowing that you've got people there that can encourage you to do it.
I get in that headspace myself, and I work in clarifying what your message is. You could just end up with like word salad at the end because you've got all these thoughts floating around your head, and when it comes to actually verbalizing them with someone, you think, where do I start? I don't, and you sort of can freeze. And it's really difficult to sort of get your message out there. So with the content strategy work that I do is I end up looking at what makes you special, what's your USP, but also what does your audience want to see, and then you kind of filter it all down into a specific sort of brand messaging, and that's sort of what you end up with in your content strategy, as well as the structure as well of what you're going to be putting where, and how often you're going to post things, what sorts of messages you're putting on your newsletter, your Instagram, your LinkedIn, because they might be slightly different. So yeah, it gets you structured and gets you a plan. And so instead of being all overwhelmed and sort of being all confused, you're clear. So my strap line is confusion to clarity. So if you're feeling overwhelmed, it's probably because you haven't really got a plan in place. So we just kind of break it all down and then get you sort of lift the load off your shoulders so you've got a bit of a plan.
And I think it's important to note as well that you're not here to specifically train them on Instagram or any of the others. She's not going to be saying, right, here, this is the button you press, and then this is what your reel should look like. It's not that training. She's not social media guru, are you?
Yeah, it's more the messaging. So instead of this is the right hashtag you should be using and the real nuts and bolts of how to put a reel together, this is the messaging that's going to set you apart from your competitors, because you can look online on how to make a reel, but it's the stuff that the brand messaging is more like intuitive, and it's really unique and specific to you and who you're aiming yourself at, but also what your goals are. So you have to be a bit more you have to go a bit more in depth and not so sort of surface level generic. It's going to be really special. So yes, it's more about the messaging than the technical side of putting a TikTok
because
together.
Actually it could be just how you're perceived at a networking event, couldn't it? Like when you go to a networking event, how do you when you do your minute pitch or something, who are you, what do you do? And it's about being clear on that message. Who is your target audience? Now, I don't know about you, Helen, but I resisted niching for a long time because I didn't want to.
Yeah.
And because I can help people with so many things like psychological conditions, physical conditions. And when I first started out, I just wanted to help everybody. And I can help everybody, but you can't talk to people like that on social media because you end up talking to nobody. And I had that for a long time. You'd put all that effort into coming up with some social media and you get zero.
Yeah, that's the thing, when you're just being too broad. It's not necessarily, if you feel like I don't want to niche down, because that is sometimes you do want to sort of appeal to other people, lots of different groups. But if you've not got a specific message that you're talking about or a specific topic that you're talking about, then you do become lost in the sea of content out there. So it's getting you known for specific things. So that's what we sort of work on, is getting your content pillars, is what they're called. So each person, each client, each business has 5 content pillars that all the content that they write about can fit under one of these 5 pillars. And if you don't do that, then you can be sort of scattergun everywhere and you're just kind of quite diluted, your message. But if you are being specific on like targeted you get known for like 5 different areas, and they're not just picked out at random. There's something that is what your audience is interested in, what they resonate with, what they value. So it's sort of really, it is targeted. Because like I've been in that position too. You just, when you're starting out, you're like, I just need clients. So you kind of will just go with whatever. But then as you sort of carry on, you realize, what do I stand for? You think I need to actually,
what your values.
Yeah, exactly. What are the values? So that's what we'll sort of cover on the Content Accelerator on the 6th of June. But I've got a few questions here that have been sent in. Should I go through them?
Go through them.
Just from people that I've spoken to when we've been promoting and researching. Well, so so what is the event? We've kind of covered that, but essentially you walk away with a content strategy. Very nice
Little leaflet we have.
You walk away with a content strategy that you've created with my guidance. And then you also have the mindset tools, so that if you're ever feeling a bit of self-doubt, you can go back to these tools to sort of ground you and make you sort of get rid of that imposter syndrome and just remind yourself of who you are. So you kind of have the practical plan in place, but also the mindset.
So what we're going to do in that, like Helen, as she says, going to do like the strategy around the actual content. But what I'm going to do is teach you some very important rules of the mind, tell you how the mind works briefly and what dangers that we can come against, right? But it's also teaching you strategies. Even listen to the way you talk to yourself. listening to other people, but feeling the energy, all this kind of thing. But as a super conscious hypnotherapist, we're actually going to do a little hypnosis as well. So we're going to do some exercises. So it's a little bit interactive, but hopefully you're going to come away with obviously your content strategy, but you're also going to come away with some really powerful knowledge about how you can just be the best version of yourself. And as I say, we're going to do a little hypnosis and some different tools, which I've been showing you some of those, which are quite fun, aren't they?
I've never been hypnotized before until I went to your event a few days ago. And is this how I'm supposed to feel? So I felt like I was not asleep, but I felt like I was kind of in that zone between being awake and asleep. Is that the right feeling? So I was like, have I just drifted off and like forgotten everything?
So hypnosis is exactly that, right? We call it being in like a trance-like state.
Yeah.
And all it is that your body is just calm, your mind's calm. And then that way we can talk to the 95% of your subconscious, not the 5% conscious. And that's perfectly. So that means you're brilliant at being hypnotized.
Wow. I was like, oh no, I've done it wrong. Like I've fallen asleep.
No, I mean, some people do fall asleep, but it doesn't matter because it's everything. Your subconscious mind never stops listening. And it's important to know that, right? Because the dangers are, lots of people now talk about manifestation, don't they? But we are manifesting all of the time, either consciously or passively. But the problem is most people are doing that negatively. So we're bringing on more and more negativity all of the time. And this is some of the stuff I'll teach really quickly on the course is you've got to understand this so that you can stop doing it.
Yeah.
And stop talking to yourself like a horrible person. You know, don't talk to yourself like you wouldn't talk to a friend. You know what? You wouldn't talk to a friend the way you talk to yourself, would you sometimes? Oh, God, I'm so stupid. I'm so ugly. I'm so fat. I'm so thin, or whatever it is. But you wouldn't say, well, hopefully you wouldn't. I personally wouldn't. But most people wouldn't, would they? So it's having these, it's about having emotional intelligence is what it actually is. As soon as you start learning that little bit, then you'll want to know more. And that's what happened to me. I just suck it in all the time. My husband laughs at me because I'll be doing something and I'll have something else playing in like an audio book or something, and I just want to suck new stuff in all the time because once you start getting on that road, it's really exciting.
Yeah, so I'd never been hypnotized before, and I thought I was a bit skeptical about whether I would
How dare you?
If I'd fall into a trance or what it would be like. Can you actually be hypnotized? So I'm quite surprised actually that I was out of it a little bit there.
Yeah.
So what do you say to people who think, oh, hypnotherapy is a bit woo-woo?
I get it because I didn't know. When I was in the corporate world and stuff, I didn't know any of this stuff. I didn't realise that the mind body is connected. And if someone had said be hypnotised, first thing I would have gone is like Paul McKenna or Darren Brown when they're doing like the stage performances, and that's all great. And actually, the older me probably would have gone, that's a load of old rubbish. But now I know it's not because I kind of know how they do that. But it isn't like that when you're working in a therapy environment, because it's all about being in that trance-like state so that we can tap into that 95, because that's in the 95%, that's where all our knowledge is, that's where all our beliefs are, all our memories, all our stories, and importantly, our emotions. And that's where they're all stored. And if we don't free ourselves from them, then they build and build and build, a bit like compound interest, and they like multiply. And then what happens is, as we get older, we start noticing that we've got more physical conditions, we've got more pain, we can't move, we've got all these ailments that we're now going to the doctor and we're expecting them to go and give us a pill to solve all these problems, when actually most of the time you can solve them from within.
Wow.
But if you don't know that, you don't know that, right?
And when you say 95%, you mean that's like 95% of your consciousness?
So if you think of your whole mind and body as 100%, when we're talking with our brain or talking at any level, we're talking with this much, but the whole of our body is our subconscious mind. And it's not just this. It's not literally just your brain, it is your whole body, because your whole body is an energy, and we're taking in energy all of the time. And then if it's not flowing, people talk about chakras and things like that, that's when we've got all these different parts of our body that have got different elements to us, and when any of those parts are stuck or blocked, that's when we can have conditions, whether it be anxiety, whether it's stress, or whether it is actual physical conditions. That is 9 times out of 10, it's going to be a trapped emotion. Like if you've suddenly got this pain in your knee, even arthritis, autoimmune diseases, everything's connected.
Wow.
I know. I didn't know
Yeah.
any of this. It's like,
Got a dodgy leg. I wonder what's.
well, it might
Some
be.
trapped trauma.
We'll do. It might be though.
Yeah.
Well, seriously, I mean,
Yeah.
unless you know, like you were playing a sport and you fell over and you physically hurt it. That's a bit different, isn't it? When there's been an actual event. But other than that, it's probably got some sort of trauma, and different organs of the body are connected to different ailments.
Yeah. And you mentioned before about working in the corporate world. What did you used to do then?
Well, I worked in the finance industry. In the latter 10 years, I was a project manager, but I was always involved in working with systems. I'm not a techie person, but it was working with clients, installing systems and doing more of the administration and creating their whole how to work the system and everything else. Then later on, I would be doing all different projects. But as I got older, it didn't really rock my boat so much. I got caught in it.
Yeah.
I got trapped in it. And I got made redundant, which at the time was quite, but actually it was the best thing that ever happened to me. And I think it's important to understand that being in the corporate world, you kind of think that is all there is. But there's always, well, not even being in the corporate world, but any job that you're in, if you want to change and you want to do something new, then it's all from within. You can do it, but you can't rely on other people to do it. But you need to really work on yourself, and make that your priority.
Yeah, similar for me. I was a journalist, worked my way up through local papers and then went to the nationals, and my last job was associate editor on a national news website, and it was amazing. Little teenage me would have been in awe of like getting to that point, but then the higher up the ladder you go, the less you're actually doing the thing that got you into that job. And I got to the point where I was like, yeah, it's great. I feel like I'm making it. It's great, nicely comfortable life, but I miss doing the thing. I miss talking to people. I miss getting feeding off the energy of like the real people out there, rather than just being in the newsroom managing a team, which, as much as I love the team, it was the reason why I got into journalism was people, to just talk to people. So taking that strategy mindset that I had, because I was managing a team, doing all the different types of journalism that you'd get across the whole national website, and saying, this is the kind of story we should be doing, this is what our audience is interested in. I've kind of taken that and put it onto businesses. So businesses, what does their audience, what are they interested in, what works for them, and sort of finding the unique angle in the business to sell that to customers. So it might sound like it's a bit of a pivot career-wise, but I'm still kind of using those same that sort of news antenna, the sort of nose for a story, and just using that for businesses instead. And I found I really enjoy feeding off the energy that I'm getting from genuine, hardworking business owners. That maybe they haven't even thought of this particular USP that they've got, and I can come and say, that's the interesting bit about you. So that's what, and then you see a light bulb moment. It's really nice and fulfilling, because like, oh, I didn't even think that was
important.
Yeah.
And that's very true, because people don't think their story is interesting, do they? And I can remember that when I've done different training, not helped by the fact then one of my friends, Matthew, you know who we are, his story was about how he died and come back to life, like the paramedics, and he shouldn't have survived. And when you're in a group of people and you're talking about, well, I was in the corporate and I did against, this is how I should be here. You're like, oh, my story is a little bit lame. But everyone's got a good story, right? But some stories just are up here and others are just normal. But the important thing is, like for me, I'd like to think that I inspire people to think that actually you can completely 360 your career. And don't forget, you might not know, that I didn't start my journey until I was in my 50s. So I don't want to hear anyone saying, oh, it's too late for me, I'm too old, because age is but a number. So I think that's important. I mean, obviously you're a lot younger than me, but and if anyone can do it, I can do it. There's nothing special about me. I just decided that actually I'm going to follow my purpose and passion. I didn't realize what it was even. If you'd met me, I wouldn't have even known what it was. But once something happens, sometimes it's a message from the universe to say, now's your time. And actually, someone said to me before that the universe will give you nudges. And I trained as a counsellor 15 years ago or something, and I did that as a volunteer, but I never followed through with it, probably because I didn't think I could make a living out of it, like, because I was used to earning quite good money. And obviously that was a huge nudge, but then I didn't follow on with it. And at work, I was always the coach. I was always the go-to person. Everyone just was attracted to me to come and help solve their problems. And I loved it. And that's obviously kind of within me. But I never wanted to be a business owner. I never planned on being a business owner. I didn't know I wanted to do social media. I didn't even like social media. I didn't know I wanted to speak on stages. I didn't know I wanted to do events. I didn't know I wanted to be an author, but yet here I am.
Yeah.
So the important part of saying all that, though, is when I went on this journey, I worked on myself and uncovered the limiting beliefs that were holding me back, which were not feeling worthy and not feeling good enough. And I think that's quite common in many people. And that does stop you from being visible. And so when you can start understanding a bit more about yourself, then and clearing some of these blocks, then doors open that you didn't even know you wanted to open.
Yeah.
And I think that's what's exciting about the whole of this.
Yeah.
And the same for you, isn't it? So I presume you didn't plan on doing this kind of work that you're doing now.
Call me naive, but I think it's a strength and a weakness to be sort of just jump in and try and do it and then sort of see what happened. I thought I would be, put something on LinkedIn, say I'm going freelance, and I'll get loads of people come and see me. It doesn't work like that. You really do have to push yourself no matter what business or audience you've got. And it's kind of like this is such a cheesy phrase, but you've got to get comfortable with it uncomfortable. And that's where it's the magic happens, because otherwise you're sort of in the safety zone.
Yeah.
And nothing really changes. So
if you don't change, nothing changes.
Yeah. Doing a workshop was not on my bingo card when I first started doing this. So I thought I would be sort of going into businesses and saying, right, this is the kind of content I need to be putting out there, and then maybe writing it. And actually what I've found that you have to do as a business owner is make things happen rather than wait for people to come to you. So I think it'll be a good day, and I think it'll be really interesting to bring people together as well who's had like the same experience. They go through this. We've all been through what you're going through, the mindset stuff, the self-doubt, but also just trying to get a plan together. So I think it'll be interesting. I think there'll be lots of things that happen that we weren't expecting to happen just from conversations. So I think it's going to be really interesting. Shall I have a look at some of the questions?
Yeah, before we do that though, we've said it's the 6th of June. We haven't said where it is.
That's true.
Yeah, because it is a live face-to-face. It is obviously very locational driven, isn't it? Yes. So obviously if you're in Scotland or somewhere like that, it's not really going to be, well, unless you want a day trip out, but it's actually going to be in Chelmsford in Essex. And it's the 6th of June, and we're going to start about 9:30, aren't we? Doors open about 9:30 till about 4.
Yes, we're going to get you in Patch in Chelmsford. It's in the centre of town. It's a really nice environment, and we're going to have drinks and snacks and stuff through the day, and get you in at 9:30, get you comfortable, get you a cuppa, meet people, find your seat. Then we'll start at 10. We'll go through a bit of an introduction and to say why we're all here, get us in the right frame of mind for calming our nervous system to sort of concentrate and sort of get rid of any anxiety, because some people do find it a bit stressful going to networking events and things. So get us all in the sort of right frame of mind, and then we'll sort of start on the practical, working out who your audience is, doing the sort of starting off of getting your content strategy together. And Julie will then also take us through some mindset work so that we're all in the right frame of mind.
And our tagline for this actually, isn't it? It's clear your head, own your message, and grow your business.
They are the 3 things that we want you to leave doing. So I think what was I going to say? I think it's suitable for people who are either new to business, have been going a while and maybe need a refresher of their marketing. Maybe they've got a new product to launch, or maybe they've been going a while and just have never done a strategy. So they're sort of feeling like they're just putting stuff out there and it's a bit...
Or not putting stuff out there.
Not putting stuff out there. What do you find is like the stuff that people come to you with most when it comes to sort of anyone who works in the business, anyone who's got work issues that come to you?
Normally, without fail, stress will come into the equation. Stress, anxiety, and lacking confidence, and very much procrastination and self-sabotage.
Yeah.
But interestingly, they're all very connected anyway, because they're all really linked to fear.
Mm-hmm.
And fear, actually, if you spell out fear, it's false evidence appearing real. But many people in business or in any job, any walks of life, really, the biggest thing is to try and understand about stress and how we can calm you down for a start. And once we can understand that that's a habit and that's learned behavior, and there'll be elements of beliefs and stuff. But what we want to do is calm, like you said earlier, calm the nervous system down. So that's what always comes up. But it's about tools and techniques when you feel stressed, anxious. It's about knowing, what can I do in this situation? I mean, obviously, number one will be come and work with me. But if it's not that, then it's about breathing. It's about listening to understanding the thoughts that you've got going on in your head. What are you trying to say to yourself, and talking and acknowledging it. It's about stopping ourselves in our tracks, really. So understanding different tools and techniques to bring you back into the moment, because everything I do with my clients, even my group program, is all about self-care. If you don't take care of yourself, then you can't take care of others. So when you're in the present moment, aka meditating, journaling, just generally being calm, reading a book, doing something, but just being calm, you're not worrying about the past and you're not worried about the future. And that's when the magic happens. And that's where we need to get to in anyone in our life, really, is getting some more calm in our lives. And then we can be more in the present moment. And then we can start listening to our body and finding out what's going on and make better decisions that are made from feeling rather than.
Yeah. I mean, how procrastination, I think, is the biggest one for me that I hear from clients, and myself included. Procrastination and perfectionism. I'm a massive perfectionist, and it's something that I'm trying to recognize and think that's enough. And essentially, it's all because you're like, when you get to the point where it's like, I'll do it when.
Yeah.
I'll post that when I've put my makeup on. I'll post that when I've worked out what to say and I've written scripts. I'll post that when my background's nice and tidy. And it's like, no, just do it. You've just got.
We were like that today, weren't we? And I said, well, we can just do it now then. And she's going, yeah, but should we do some practices? And I said, no. I said, because we haven't got time.
Yeah.
And I said, we can practice it 10 times and get it spot on, and then we go live, and then one of us will mess it up. And I said, look, I mess things up all the time. We're just going to do it.
Yeah,
I think we tied it up the background, didn't we?
It's a muscle, isn't it? It's a skill. It's a skill you have to just keep training yourself to do. And so the other thing that means that you end up procrastinating is just not having a plan. So I end up people either come to me saying, I've got no idea what to post on my socials or put on my website, or I've got too many ideas. And they both end up with the same result. You end up procrastinating and just not doing anything, and you're paralyzed. So there's like this overwhelm, either by not knowing what to focus on because you've got too many thoughts, or you just haven't got any and you think, I'm just rubbish, I don't know what I'm supposed to say. So the answer, because the result is the same, the answer is also the same. You need a plan. So just writing something down where it's been considered. It's not just any old tut that's ChatGPT has spat out.
Well, we do love chat, but you do have to be mindful of what you're telling it, don't you?
And what it's coming out, is it any good, basically. So thinking about your audience and getting really specific on your audience is key for getting your strategy together. And then thinking about your goals and what makes you special and the specific values that you have. And then it's a bit of an equation, really. You sort of put those two together and then you come up with your content pillars, which is like, okay, we know that this is what I do, but then also this is what my customers value. And then we've decided these 5 different pillars that I'm going to be writing about, talking about, making sure I'm getting across in, if I'm networking, if I'm giving a talk, if I'm on a podcast, if I'm trying to put some PR out there, you've got those messages that you're going to be saying. And then the next phase of the strategy is actually putting a real nuts and bolts plan together where it's okay. I know that my audience hangs out on Instagram and TikTok. I'm going to make sure, and I've got a website and I've got a newsletter and I want to do some PR. I'm going to make sure they're my channels that I'm going to be going on, and I'm going to post this many times on Instagram every week, this is how many times I'm going to send my newsletter out. And the types of content I'm going to put on there are these bits, and you're basically giving yourself a plan. Whereas if you're ever at the point where I've forgotten where I started, what should I be doing this week? You go back to the strategy, and it's all there. And you know that it's been put together with purpose. I recently made a strategy for a CEO that I'm working with, and to raise his personal profile. And I go back to that every time. I'm writing stuff for him now too. I end up going back to that strategy just to sense check what I'm doing. Think, oh yeah, is it fitting into these pillars? Just remind myself, what was the plan? How, and it even if it's not specifically in that plan, the messages will be there, and it'll give me like the answers and sort of the sense checking that I'm on the right path. So
you actually work with like business, obviously business owners, we know that, but you also work with what we call professionals as well.
Yeah, anyone who wants to sort of raise their profile as well as business owners. So they could be a B2B business owner, B2C business owner, or they could be someone who wants to raise their profile. So usually that ends up being like the C-suite, I guess you would call it, but senior leaders generally, but anyone who wants to raise their profile.
Yeah, and for me, I've got two niches really. So mine is professionals, because I spent 35 years in the corporate world. So why wouldn't I want to reconnect with them? Because I know what it was like in the corporate world, but now with all the skills I've got now, I can help them to live a much happier, healthier life. But also I hang out with a lot of business owners, right? So it was difficult for me to choose one or the other, because I'm passionate about both of them. So I've decided I'm going to have both.
Yeah.
So hence why we're doing our collab. So, but for me, the undercurrent's still the same anyway. The beliefs are all the same. It's just different way of targeting the message, isn't it?
Yeah.
Same with you, really.
Yeah. So I guess one question which people would generally have is, you've been to our event, you're walking out the door, you're going to drive home, what are you leaving with? So for on my side, you are going to have a content strategy that you have put together with my guidance, and that's going to include an audience persona, so your ideal client imagined as a person, and then some deep dive into your business and what makes you special and pulling out your unique angles, a content pillar document where you've got your 5 topics that you're going to be known for, and a channel strategy so that you know what sort of messages you're putting where and how often. So it's a real plan that's going to last you for years to come, and will sort of guide you and your content that you're putting out there, all your communications. So that's on my side.
So for me, I want to, obviously I can help and guide a little bit with that as well, but I want to help you to understand some really important rules of how the mind works, and help you understand how the mind and body are connected, and how important it is to learn some techniques. Like I'm going to teach you a breathing technique and some other tools and techniques to help you connect your mind and body together as well. So it's going to be an element of education. Don't like saying that because that sounds like very teacher-esque, doesn't it? But some learning, some emotional intelligence, and also coming away with some physical tools and techniques that you can actually go away and do yourself. I'll probably throw in a free audio as well. I've got a lovely calming audio. Maybe put another one in, I'm not really sure. But obviously we would love to see you there, and maybe carry on working with you afterwards as well.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing that we were both very keen on, is giving you something practical, not just listen to a presentation, and then go off home and have to implement it. The worst thing is, right, making a strategy for someone and you just know that it's just going to collect dust at the end. That's not what we're here for. We want to actually get you to sort of take action and get some results from it. So,
and it is only a day, so we can only do so much in that period, but we want to, we want you to come back as action takers at the end of it, don't we?
Yeah. So details are 6th of June in Patch in Chelmsford. Patch is near Nando's in the centre of town. Very nice surroundings. The price is £147, but we have got an early bird discount on at the moment, making it £117. And I think that is very good value, because actually looking at how much we would charge for one-on-one, me doing a content strategy for You Bespoke, Julie doing her thing with You Bespoke, you're probably getting about a 20th of the price that it would be for the pair of us. So, you know, less than £60 per person is quite a bargain
for a whole day. And you're going to come away with some real good stuff. And we're going to give you some workbooks as well to take away, so that you've got other things to remember us by. But yeah, we're really looking forward to it. We're really excited, but there are going to be limited numbers, because the room can only take so many people. So it is first come, first serve. We're really excited. We'd love you to like and share these videos. We'll drop the link around the video as well, depending on what social it's on. So all you need to do is click the link and go through the process of booking your place. And yeah, we're just really excited.
Yeah, it's going to make such a difference. I just know it already. It's like, and it's so unique. Like, I never see these two things come together. So I think it's going to be a very special day.
Yeah. So is that enough for us?
I think so. Hopefully you've got all the details, but you just follow us on socials, DM us if you've got questions. If you're still not sure if it's right for you, just drop us a line.
We'll probably be spamming in the next couple of weeks
true.
anyway, won't we? So I'm sure this won't be the last time you see us. But yeah, we're really excited. But I think this is also proof that you can go and meet people and collaborations can be made. And I think that's really important. And I'd love to think that anybody that comes to that event will come, obviously bring people you know if you want to, but also take that opportunity to meet new people and maybe get some work from each other, or you get friendships or collaborations yourself. So you never know who you're going to meet at these events, and you never know what things are going to happen.
Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah, if you've got questions, let us know. But otherwise, hopefully see you there on the 6th of June.
Take care. Thanks ever so much. Bye.